to show to people, and we've got 20 people here, so that's great. I'm going to pass these around. Unfortunately, there's not enough of them for everyone to have them, but just look it over. It's basically from the Center for Constitutional Rights. It has their website on it, and it's a petition online to close Gitmo. What I'm going to do is just do a little bit of a quick background about Guantanamo Bay Detention Center and the current situation there up through this week, because things are happening real quickly. A little bit of a background. The short Spanish-American War of 1898 resulted from U.S. intervention in the Cuban War of Independence at that same time. The reason the United States was there was Guantanamo Bay had an important commercial, it was important commercially because there was a sugar port there, and also the United States needed a coaling station for refueling its steam-powered sugar transport and military ships. That military base was established, as I say, in 1898 as the United States and Cuban soldiers expelled the Spanish from their fort there. That happened in June 10th, 1898. Now, it wasn't until 5 years later that it was formalized with a lease, and that lease has been contested by the Cuban government ever since it was forced into signing it. It basically holds that while the Cuban government does hold sovereignty over the area, the 45 square miles that is where the base is under complete jurisdiction and control of the United States. In 2002, President Bush began to house prisoners there. They were opponents of his global war on terror, and he thought they were anyway. They were originally, the 20 people who were taken there were from Afghanistan, but later there were people from Iraq, the Horn of Africa, and Southeast Asia taken there. Bush had a political appointee attorney and his Secretary of Defense, Rumsfeld, all claimed that the U.S. was outside, Guantanamo was outside of U.S. legal jurisdiction, but at the same time, there were no international protections through the Geneva Convention. And with that backdrop, the military guards took the first 20 captives to Guantanamo Bay, to Gitmo, January 11th of 2002. The camp operated without any domestic or international rules in place for over 2 years until the Supreme Court decided in 2004 that the Geneva Accords, the international law, did apply there, and they could no longer operate the prison without any rules. Over the last 11 years, prisoners there have repeatedly testified of being abused and tortured. While Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld all denied these charges, a Bush appointee, Susan Crawford, told the press in 2009 that Mohammed al-Khawati was tortured there, acknowledging that there was torture going on there during the Bush administration. In 2005, Amnesty International called the prison the gulag of our time and requested that it be closed. The United Nations requested the same thing in February of 2006, and the European Union asked it be closed in May of 2006. Thus far, the United States has refused to do that. Just a little aside, in '86, the Department of Navy opened a franchise of the McDonald's restaurant in Cuba, the only one there, and prisoners who cooperate with interrogations are rewarded with Happy Meals. On June 10th, 2006, the Department of Defense released news that 3 detainees had committed suicide by hanging themselves. During his presidential campaign early in 2008, Obama pledged to close Guantanamo if elected within 1 year of his election. On January 22nd, 2009, President Obama signed an order to suspend the military commission and shut down the detention center within a year. But a military judge, immediately following his announcement, ruled that his initial plan to transfer detainees from the prison to onshore was illegal. Then, on January, 2 years later, Obama himself, President Obama, signed the Defense Authorization Bill, which placed further restrictions on transferring prisoners from Gitmo. So now, up until just recently, Obama's critics had pointed out the fact that he had not chosen an aide to implement this executive order from 2 years ago, or from 2009. Obama, though, recently now has just appointed an aide to do that. Many believe that the decision for him to do that is based upon the fact that out of the 166 people who are presently detained there, 133 of them, as of yesterday, are involved in a hunger strike, and it's in its 136th day today. 43 of these protesting prisoners have now been restrained in force-feeding chairs, and they painfully have tubing forced up their nostrils into their stomachs to feed them. Just this week, or the end of last week, U.S. AMA doctors drafted and signed a document in which they stated that fellow doctors working in the military prisons should, quote, stop force-feeding competent people. It is not the practice of medicine. It is aggravated assault. Earlier this week, the military responded to these doctors' statements saying that painfully force-feeding prisoners is legal according to military law, and the AMA doctors who made this statement were only expressing their personal opinions, quote, not facts. The military also reports none of their doctors have objected to participating in this program. One of the doctors was quoted saying, our job is to keep these men alive. Of the 12 original detainees brought to Gitmo on the 2nd of January, 7 of them, of 2002, 7 of them were found to be innocent of any wrongdoing and have remained imprisoned for over 11 years. Obama stated earlier this week that 48 of the 166 remaining detainees, or we can call them prisoners, because that's what they are, 166 of the prisoners being held will have to remain in custody without charges and remain in custody for indefinite periods of time because they are too dangerous to let go. These men include 26 Yemenis, 12 Afghanis, 3 Saudis, 2 Kuwaitis, 2 Libyans, a Kenyan, a Moroccan, and a Somali. 2 of the Afghani detainees committed suicide. One of them might have been a heart attack since the list was compiled, leaving 46 detainees who will continue to be held without charge. The other 118 should and could have been released 11 years ago. Many have now been held in prison for over a decade. So this letter that there's a few copies of here is from the Center for Constitutional Rights that William Kunstler and some other activist attorneys started in, I think, 74. And I would urge you to go online to their website. It's ccrjustice.org and sign that petition as well as the one that Dick has. Thank you.